entitled to 4 months of notice upon the Bardo factors. Justices, it is important to note that both Ms. Jayana and Coffin Industries consented and mutually agreed into entering a two-stage arbitration process in which the mediator concluded that Ms. Holliday was not discriminated against and was only entitled to 4 months of reasonable notice. Now, in Ontario, employers are able to terminate employment without cause within certain limitations. Some of these limitations include it cannot be based on discriminatory reasons, nor can it be based on a retaliatory act. However, the Ontario Human Rights Code, which I'll be referring to as the OHR from now on, does seek to protect employees from wanton job displacement. And what it does is it provides employees with entitlement to what is called reasonable notice and pay in lieu of notice. Now, justices, it is important to further note that there is no formulaic process to determining the specific reasonable notice period to be given. It is dependent on the court, and in this case, it was dependent on the arbitrator to weigh various factors in coming to this conclusion. However, we're not left alone. We have a guiding factor, which is the similarity principle that states that where employees in similar positions should receive similar notice periods. As such, I'll be arguing, sorry, Justice Pomeranz, did you have a question?
No, I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties and I'm just trying to resolve them, so please proceed.
No worries. I will now be arguing that upon applying the Bardo factors, one will come, any reasonable conclusion would be that Ms. Holliday is only entitled to 4 months of a reasonable notice. Just as the relevant legal principle of the Bardo factors comes from Bardo v. Globe and Mail, as has been noted by my learned friends on the appellant side, in which several factors are listed and that should be considered in assessing what is considered reasonable notice. These factors include years of service, age, character of employment, availability of similar employment, and today I'll be going through each of these factors in conjunction with previous precedent cases, and upon applying them to the case of the appellant at hand, we seek to demonstrate that 4 months is indeed the reasonable notice period that should be applied in this case. For example, we look at years of service. In regards to years of service, the general notion is that long-term employees should be entitled to longer reasonable notice period compared to newer employees. And this is perhaps the most important factor as noted in the factum. In regards to this, we note that Ms. Jayana Holliday has only worked with Coffin Industries for 7 years. Now, 7 years is not a short period of time, but we want to be specific and note that she's only held the account manager position for just 11 months. What is critical here in trying to understand this Bardo factor, and as I'm sure we all know, is that legal interpretation is very important when we look at legal text. Now, the legal text says long-term. What exactly is meant by long-term? It's an ambiguous term that needs to be clarified and determined. As such, to do that, we have to look at some legal precedent cases, and one of those cases will be Kendra v. Tesla that occurred in 2018. It is perhaps the most relevant and parallel case. In this case, Ms. Kendra, a senior software developer and team lead, just like Ms. Holliday, was awarded only 4 months of notice after 7 years of service, which is roughly the same amount of service that Ms. Holliday had served with Coffin Industries. The rationale behind this was the high demand for her job and the general demand in the tech industry. Now, a critical case to understanding and disambiguating the term long-term, as found in the Bardo factor, is Charles v. Amazon of 2021. I want to draw attention.
Just before you leave the Kendra and Tesla one, I'm curious to hear your position on the idea that in 2018, it was a very different world. It was pre-pandemic. Can we ignore that in considering the 4 months notice in this case? Because as I look at the other cases, it looks to me like 4 months is on the low end. So if you're defending 4 months one way or another, it seems like it's on the low end. And the Tesla case, as we said, is pre-pandemic. How does that impact, or does it, the reasonableness of 4 months? So what I'm saying basically is, are we comparing apples to apples here with the pre-pandemic case?
In response to your question, Justice Pratt, we would note that both the appellant and the respondent, both parties jointly submitted some following agreements that they both agreed on. And the first of those agreements is found on page 10 of the factum sheet, is that while COVID pandemic, we aren't contending that COVID pandemic has not affected the general job market. However, both sides have come to agree that the tech industry remains a relatively stable field. So Justice Pratt, in response to that, we would say that this comparison is not necessarily apples to oranges. That yes, despite the fact that a pandemic was occurring at this time, the tech industry was not as adversely affected compared to other sectors, perhaps. If that answers your question, Justice, I will continue with my submissions.
Yes, thank you.
When we look at Charles v. Amazon, we note that Mr. Charles had served for 5 years. And despite this, the rationale stated that their service was considered short. Now, a 2-year difference would not serve to necessarily make one service go from short-term to long-term. As such, justices, we would argue that this gives us some indication into what is considered long-term service. And we note that Mr. Charles was awarded 11 months for this service. Another factor is age. And in general understanding, the older employees should be given a longer reasonable notice period due to the fact that it may be more difficult for them to have a competitive advantage in their field due to their age. For example, we look at Angela v. Google. There is an exception to this, which states that younger employees who hold positions that are usually held by older individuals should be given a longer notice period. We note that Ms. Holliday is relatively young, 28. However, when we look at the precedent of Chris v. Apple, there is a 7-year gap, and Chris was awarded a longer notice period. However, we would state that Ms. Holliday is not necessarily entitled to a longer notice period in light of her age. Then we move on to character of employment. Now, I want to note something that is very important here. This factor is based on nothing more than an a priori presumption. And this presumption states that individuals that hold higher up positions, such as managerial positions, due to the specialized skills that they have in this field, they will find it more difficult to hold new positions of employment. Justices, there has been no statistical evidence of this. This needs to be proven. This is an assumption that in light of the COVID pandemic, one could actually argue the reverse. And in light of this, we would actually reject this presumption. And we would argue that it could be possible that even entry-level workers might actually struggle to find employment compared to those in higher positions. As such, we believe.
Let me ask you this. We do know that most people that hold this position have a business background, which Ms. Holliday does not have. We know that they're often middle-aged white men. Can't we draw an inference that she might face some additional challenges in getting a comparable position?
In response to that, Justice, we want to highlight several things about the current situation. Ms. Holliday works for a premium company in a very competitive field. They work in a very competitive market, such as Toronto. They started, and within the span of 7 years, they got promoted 3 times. Youngest team lead in a premium company in a very highly competitive market. And we want to further note that the previous occupant of her field was actually someone that was very virtually opposite to her, a middle-aged white man. As such, we would submit that if Ms. Holliday was able to do so successfully in her position in a competitive market, if she was to hope to move to Windsor, that her exemplary work history would actually highlight her and set her apart from everyone else in Windsor in light of the COVID pandemic. As such, we would submit that the fact that she's already holding such a position would actually be more of a benefit to her rather than a disadvantage.
Okay.
If that answers your question, Justice, I will seek to continue with my submissions. Thank you. Another factor of the Bardo factors is availability of similar employment. Now, we must note that the purpose of reasonable notice is to allow employees enough time to find another place of employment to mitigate their losses. This factor requires consideration of several factors, such as how many jobs are on the market, job uniqueness, and the personal background of the individual. We've already noted that COVID-19 pandemic has negatively affected the job market as a whole. However, as I've stated previously, that this kind of adverse reaction has not impacted the tech field as much. And once again, this is found on page 10 of the joint submission of both sides. And in regards to the question that was actually asked by Justice Pomerantz, that she might require a business background, while this may be true, the fact that, as I've already stated, that she was able to already succeed in this company demonstrates that that need not be a very strong impediment factor in her being able to find successive employment. Now, I want to respond to some things that were mentioned by my learned friends of the appellant. They brought up the middle-aged white man argument. However, as I've noted already, prior occupant of this role was this exact same person, a middle-aged white man. And Ms. Holliday did not find it as difficult to excel in this field. She was chosen out of everyone in order to fill this position. And so we see a young team lead in a premium market working for a premium company being chosen out of virtually anyone to fill this field. Justices, we submit this highlights the brilliance, ingenuity, and high capability of Ms. Holliday. The second one is in response to our learned friends brought up the notion that they're moving to Windsor. As you have beautifully noted earlier, Justice Pratt, There must be a limitation on the extent to which the respondent is responsible for whether or not the appellant is willing to move. When we look at the legal precedent set in Charles v. Amazon, this precedent is in reference to Mr. Charles being unwilling to leave his home province. It notes that similar forms of employment would be available in other markets. Mr. Charles was unwilling to leave his home province, and he has the right to not leave, as my learned friends have noted. However, the opposite is true in this case. Ms. Holiday actually wants to willingly leave. She is not being compelled or impelled by the company to leave, as is noted by the factum. As such, we have to notice that in this case, it is not upon the respondent to be responsible for something as such as this. However, even in consideration of this, as I've already argued so many times before, we continue to submit that given her work history, she will have no difficulty excelling in whatever market she goes into. Justices, as I see that my time is going on, I will slowly start to move into my conclusion. My co-respondent and I have submitted before the Windsor Court of Appeal that Coffin Industries did not violate Section 5 of the Ontario Human Rights Code, due to the appellant having been made aware of the three-strike policy, which is equally applied to all. Furthermore, a mutually agreed upon arbitrator came to the exact same conclusion as Coffin Industries, that Ms. Holiday was only entitled to 4 months of reasonable notice. Now, I remember that my learned friends and the appellant brought up a specific time period that they believed Ms. Holiday was entitled to. And in their right to reply, I would like to perhaps ask them respectfully to tell us how exactly they came to concluding this specific time period. As I've already mentioned, there is no formula. There is no calculation. It's not a plug in and get a result kind of calculation to determine reasonable notice period. As such, if the arbitrator that both sides mutually agreed to came to the same conclusion of 4 months, we would respectfully ask our friends on the appellant side to tell us where they came to this conclusion of 8 months, as to us, it currently seems arbitrary. In conjunction to this, when applying the Bardo factors, we've noted that there's no formulaic pattern, that the judgment is one that is case specific, based on the judge's assessment of the balance of probabilities given the factors of the case. Justices, we the respondent, on behalf of Coffin Industries, we note the great work that has been done by Ms. Holiday at Coffin Industries. Starting off in an administrative position in 2013, she became a senior software developer. 3 years later, she made team lead. And not only that, she was the youngest team lead in such a big company dealing with the largest global accounts, companies such as Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. 2 years later, she was offered an accounts manager position, a position that is mainly held by individuals that are virtually the opposite of her, namely middle-aged white men. Justice, Mrs. Holiday is quite literally the epitome of breaking the glass ceiling, as my learned friends have highlighted. And we want to emphasize this, that she broke this glass ceiling at Coffin Industries. She was not.
Mr. Adadapo.
Yes, Justice.
The last few sentences that you stated, aren't you in fact arguing against what you said earlier about her being able to find a job in Windsor, when you recognize that she has sort of broken the glass ceiling, that the job that she was given was primarily or is primarily held by middle-aged white men? Doesn't that go against your argument that she will be able to find employment easily?
Justice, in response to that question, I would like to highlight two factors. The first factor is one that I've already talked about by referencing Justice Pratt's question to my learned friends, the appellant, that we are not compelling or forcing Ms. Holiday to go to Windsor. As is noted in the factum, if she chose to stay in Toronto, similar employment would be readily available to her. However, I would further submit that that my submissions are not contrary to one another, as what I am highlighting is that if she was so capable to break the glass ceiling in such a highly competitive market as the one in Toronto, working for such a premium company, that upon looking at her work history, when she goes to Windsor during, as we've noted, the COVID pandemic, that her work history and the capability that she's demonstrated would signify and highlight her in comparison to her fellow workers. As such, we believe that her ability to have broken the glass ceiling in Toronto would carry over to her ability to even do better and be more successful in Windsor. If that answers your question, Justice, I will finish and conclude with my submissions. I note that my time is nearly over, so I would ask justices if I could just have a couple more seconds to finish up.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Justices, as we've noted, Ms. Holliday is quite literally the epitome of breaking the glass ceiling. And Coffin Industries is confident that the brilliance of her work, her exemplary work history, and her driven attitude will bring her success no matter where she finds herself. However, the facts of the matter still stand. Ms. Holliday was aware of the three-strike policy. Ms. Holliday was aware of the required process to register formal complaints. Ms. Holliday knew prior that she would be held to a higher degree of scrutiny prior to taking this position. Therefore, we conclude our submission that Coffin Industries did not violate Section 5 of the Ontario Human Rights Code, and the arbitrator was justified in concluding that she was entitled only to 4 months of reasonable notice. Thank you, Justices.
Thank you, sir. Do the appellants wish to exercise their right of a 1-minute reply?
Yes, please, Justice Dean.
Go ahead. Who is going to take the floor for the appellants?
I will take the rebuttal. This case, per the respondents, is about negligence of following workplace policies established in their own argument. The extent to which the appellants agree with our friends is only to the nature of the case, negligence, specifically on the part of Coffin Industries. Paragraph 11 on page 6 states that after her first complaint, Johanna made notable efforts to improve her relationship with Dwight over the several months, which is reflected by positive reviews and informal comments that he and others made. Yes?
Sorry, my apologies. Once again, tech issues right now, my apologies. Leela, is your camera on? I just need to spotlight you, but I can't seem to see you.
My camera is on. I can turn it off and then on again. Hopefully that works.
I was going to say, we can see her in the gallery view. And we just can't.
Why can't I see? Okay. I have done so now. Sorry, clerk, can you restart the time? And Leela, I'm so sorry once again. Can you restart your submission? My apologies.
That's okay, Natasha. Okay. This case, per the respondents, is about negligence of following workplace policies established in their own arguments. The extent to which the appellants agree with our friends is to the nature of the case, negligence, specifically on the part of Coffin Industries. After her first complaint, paragraph 11 on page 6 states that Johanna made notable efforts to improve her relationship over the several months with Dwight. This is consistent with her character. It is evident that Johanna took immediate action to remedy Dwight's baseless complaints. However, this was not reciprocated by Coffin Industries, as it just ignored and failed to investigate per Justice Dean's question. And it is for this reason that the appellants submit that Coffin Industries failed extensively, as they are motivated by increasing their own revenue at the expense of pursuing justice, which we are confident that this court will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I understand now from my notes that I received that the judges will enter a breakout room for approximately 3 minutes or so. So we will take a recess for that time.
Okay, perfect. So judges, I'm going to open up the breakout room. And you should now see a notification that says join room 1.
Do we stay here?
Yep, everyone else stays right here.
Thank you.
Justice Pomerantz, can you hear me? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just going to check that room to make sure that Justice Pomerantz is in there and everyone else can just hang tight. Thank you.
Want me to say it again or?
Hi, yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
one
here.
moment.
That's fine. Am I okay to go ahead, Natasha?
My apologies, Justice Pomerantz. Do you just mind putting on your camera just briefly? You can probably turn it off as soon as I'm able to spotlight you. Okay, perfect. My apologies. Yes, Chief Justice Lloyd Dean, you can go right ahead.
All right, thank you. On behalf of all three judges, I want to thank you all for your capable and awesome submissions. As undergraduate students, we thought that you've done very well, and we're going to reserve our decision on this matter. So you won't get a decision today on this matter from us. And for those who are listening in and watching, I understand that the judges now are going to meet privately with the finalists, the four oralists that presented, and give them our feedback and let them ask some questions. And I'm sure Natasha will fill everybody in, or someone will fill everybody in what time to come back in and join the process again. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Dean. So we have reached the end of the proceeding. The Windsor Court of Appeal is now adjourned. Thank you again to all of the honorable justices. At this time, I would like to thank you all for attending the final round of the third annual Lloyd Dean Moot. To all of our mooters, so please be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Lloyd Dean Moot and see the hashtag Future Lawyer Because Challenge, which was just launched. Please see the post for detail. The challenge will close at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, March 6th, and the winner will receive a $50 Visa gift card. So at this time, we will have a health break before returning to this link for the awards ceremony, which will begin, I believe, it's changed now to 4:30. So please remember that even though you weren't a finalist please remember that you do not have to be a finalist in order to receive the Spirit of the Moot Award. Based on some stellar performance today, we may also have some honorary awards to announce. So we look forward to seeing everyone there. And like Justice Dean has said, the final round judges will now be placed in a breakout room with the finalists for exclusive feedback session. Thank you.
Get started. Hello, everybody. We have come to the award ceremony of our moots, but I would like to introduce myself before we begin. My name is Nicole Baltazar. I'm a 1L first-year single JD student at the Windsor University for the Faculty of Law, as well as the manager of social media throughout this year's Lloyd Dean Moot. In other words, I'm the individual creating content, liking, sharing, taking pictures, as well as posting all throughout our social media platforms, all the behind the scenes presence. Yet the true stars of this entire day were each and every one of you. On behalf of the entire committee and founder, we want to say a huge thank you to all our participants, finalists, and justices, including Justice Pomerantz, Justice Dean, as well as Justice Pratt, for dedicating time towards this eventful day. While you are all winners, this award ceremony highlights these specific individuals who displayed various attributes worth noting throughout the day. But before we begin, I would like to invite Dean Bhatti to say a few remarks and honor Justice Lloyd Dean.
Thank you very much, and congratulations everybody on a most successful moot today. It is my honor and privilege to pay tribute to Justice Lloyd Dean, whose life story is a testament to the importance of passion, compassion, hard work, integrity, humility, and self-awareness. Now, as you heard this morning, Justice Dean came to Windsor Law so that he could play out his last 3 years of football eligibility. Well, he came and he excelled. Upon graduation, he was offered a position at an elite law firm, but a life spent behind a desk did not appeal to him. So he left to pursue a passion to teach. He became a local high school teacher. And after several years, though, he traded the classroom for the courtroom when he was appointed a full-time prosecutor, which took him on the path to eventually becoming a judge. Now, those who know Justice Dean know that whether he speaks from the high school classroom or from the bench, his words are driven by the desire to affirm our common humanity and to encourage us to see ourselves in each other. To those Mooters who have not yet had the privilege of meeting Justice Dean in person, you only need to read the quote from him that is imprinted on the certificates that you will receive as a result of your participation in today's moot. And that quote reads, "Be nice always, especially towards those who can do nothing for you." Justice Dean, you are a great friend to Windsor Law. You give selflessly to the law school. You mentor students. You inspire all of us, especially Black law students. You teach criminal law for us, and you financially supported student scholarships, including one named after your own great-grandfather, himself a trailblazing Black lawyer. But your greatest gift to us is your continued presence among us. You make us believe that anything is possible, and this ability to spark the imagination is priceless. Justice Dean, on behalf of Windsor Law, I want to thank you for all that you do. It's an honor for Windsor Law to support this moot that was created in your name. And it's been a privilege to say a few words that can only suggest but never capture the importance of your place among us. Thank you again, and I look forward to 2023.
Thank you very much, Dean Body. You can't tell by my skin because of my skin color, but you make me blush with all of those kind words. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dean Batia. Now, the man of the hour himself will say a few remarks, the Honorable Justice Lloyd Dean.
Thank you very much. You know, I said it this morning, I'm honored by the moot being named after me, but I'm also very humbled and slightly embarrassed that it is named after me. But I appreciate all of the recognition that people believe that I deserve. And, you know, all I can say is that I'm just a product of everybody else's hard work and giving towards me with their advice, their time, their money, their efforts to make sure that I stay on the right path, whether it was as a youth or a young legal professional, and even the mentors I had when I became a judge. If I was a quilt, I say this often, if I was a quilt and it was unfurled, you would see patches of all of the people who have really made me what I am. And so, you know, if there was a way to just put all those people's names on this moot competition, I would love to do that, but I appreciate everything that's been said. And, you know, the students, because it was a student who approached me to ask me, you know, that's even more significant for me that the students felt that I deserved it. And I can, you know, it makes me so proud when I do this every year to see the hard work that the students have put into this moot and what it means to them. And of course, they've had the support of the law school, which means everything to me. And I look at the list of the coaches and I see some former students participating who are now lawyers. I see current students who I've who I've taught or met along the way. I see lawyers that are in the community here assisting, and it just brings me great joy that people are giving up their, as I said this morning, their most valuable asset, which is time, that they give up to make this a success. So I just want to thank Brian and Natasha and all of the Moot committee and everyone who's volunteered to help out in some way with this. It's just, it's an amazing feat to pull it off with technology, but you did it. You stayed calm, you didn't panic, Natasha and everybody else, with all the technical difficulties. And fortunately, with what has happened in the pandemic, all of us have adapted and become used to the difficulties with technology. And we know there's no one to blame. There's just, it happens. And that's what we say in court. It happens. And we just got to deal with it. And we are dealing with it. So thank you so much for all of the work everyone has put in. The Spirit of the Moot Award goes to...
Sorry, my apologies, Justice Dean.
Okay.
Do you mind, just in keeping with the order of the slide, so we don't reveal something that we shouldn't reveal? My apologies. This order should have been made known to you prior.
Okay.
My apologies. Not your fault at all. Can we just go in the order of Best Moot Team, then Top Oralist, and then Spirit of the Moot Award, please? My apologies.
Oh, okay. No problem. No problem. Best Moot Team, and then Top Oralist, and then the Spirit. See, now I thought it was going to be the other way around. You know, the suspense would build towards the Top Oralist. But
You're correct. We definitely should have thought about that, but we did not.
not that one award is more significant than others, but that was my own thinking. All right, okay. So the Best Moot Team went to the respondents in the final, and that was Rosine Irijo and Ini Adadapo. So congratulations to that team.
And I would just like to note that what I'm holding up right here is the trophy that both of you will receive. You can't see the engravement very well right now, but it is engraved. It says Windsor Law, University of Windsor, Lloyd Dean Moot, Best Moot Team. This award is presented to the best undergraduate team of this year's Lloyd Dean Moot, March 5th, 2022, and then it has the Lloyd Dean Moot logo on it. Please ensure that the Lloyd Dean Moot committee does have your addresses, because these will be shipped to your house. Each of you will receive one.
All right, and the Top Oralist, and I know, Natasha, has it been explained how the winners are calculated, if I could put it that way?
It has not been, so feel free to elaborate on that if you see fit.
Okay, so and I really appreciated that it was done this way this year. So all three judges had separate score sheets, and I know that the Mooters might be familiar with the score sheets because they were judged that way in the earlier rounds. So all three judges had different score sheets. We each did our own score sheets separately. So there was no discussion among us about what score we were going to give each of the oralists. And we sent those scores in, and Natasha and her group calculated it and then got back to us as to who received the top moot team and who received the top oralist. So in other moots, just to explain the difference, in other moots that I've been a part of, the three judges sit in a room together and they discuss who's going to get the award. And sometimes that leads to a little bit of pressure being put on from one person to another as to who should get the award, and you have different maybe opinions. I thought this was a much more fair way to do it. We just did it independently and let the chips fall where they may. And the respondent team was ended up obviously getting collectively the highest score when all scores were totaled. And that's how also the top oralist was chosen. And the top oralist is Ini Adadapo.
Congratulations, Innie. We're going to ask you, both you and your co-counsel, so Rosine, at this time, you guys can feel free to come on camera and unmute yourselves, and you can give a few brief remarks. Feel free. I know you probably weren't planning on it, but feel free to come on up and say some remarks if you'd like.
Rosie, do you want to go first?
And sorry, one moment. Let me actually just find you guys so I add you to the spotlight, and you can go ahead.
Ini, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I guess I'll go. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone, the Lloyd Dean Moot committee and all these justices for this amazing opportunity. Definitely this was an amazing opportunity, like I'm saying so many times, but I just remember that my first ever moot was something that I wasn't planning. I've actually, since I started undergrad, I've more focused on mock trial. And my first moot was at Osgood, and I started it, you know, my friend told me the day before, he's like, do you want to do this? And I remember I did it, and I just fell in love with mooting. And I remember seeing this moot, all the moots I've done are 10 minutes. This one's 30 minutes, and I was just really anxious. But the time went by, the justices were amazing, and everyone was so supportive. So I really just wish everyone the best of luck as you go forward. And please just know that, you know, part of it also is feedback. And part of it is being able to network with everyone that's here. And all of you have so much talent and ability, and I look forward to, you know, working and studying the law with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Obviously, Ini, your speech was amazing. I just want to say thank you. This is actually crazy for me because this was my first moot ever, and I was quite nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how it would go, but Ini was such a great partner to have. He really led the way, made me feel comfortable, made me feel like just calm throughout the whole process. And I also want to thank the justices. I was sharing with Ini earlier that just for the feedback that we've received today from everyone, it's just been, I don't have the words. It's been such an incredible day, and the information I've received I will keep with me for so long. I'm sorry, guys. I'm speechless a little bit. I'm a little bit shocked. But yes, thank you so much for the experience, and it's been great. And I want to say thank you to everyone that was involved in putting this event together. I'm so glad I was part of it, and thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you so much to both of you, and once again, congratulations.
All right, so we have the spirit of the Moot Award winner yet to name, and that person is Galia Hashem. And I did receive some comments from the coach, and what stood out to me about the comments was how much they appreciated Galia's efforts to not only help the fellow mooters, but also the coaches and her organization and getting everyone set up and structuring things for everyone. And that the last thing they said, all in all, Galia has shown us that she knows what Windsor law and the Lloyd Dean Moot is all about, helping others and being the best you can be. And that is appropriately said. So congratulations, Galia.
Thank you so much, Galia. If you'd like to come on camera so we can spotlight you, and you can give some remarks if you'd like. Just give me 1 second. There you are. All right, go right ahead.
Hello. First of all, I am speechless. This is what? Thank you so much. It's so humbling to receive this award because it makes me feel like I'm in the right place. And like what Justice Dean was saying before, I've always thought of my life as just puzzle pieces and everyone's adding their own little part to my life. And I'm so happy to have a little puzzle piece from the Lloyd Dean Moot to add on as well. This whole experience has been absolutely incredible. I never thought I would enjoy researching employment law ever in my entire life. It never occurred to me. And that this being my first moot, having such supportive coaches and such a wonderful partner in Alexander, and just the whole team being so nice. Like, every email I sent was responded to so quickly and nicely. And then our judges were absolutely incredible. And I got to see and learn with so many people. Thank you so much. I'm genuinely about to cry, but I'm going to hold it in. Thank you so, so much. I'm so humbled, so honored. Oh, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
That is so beautiful to hear. Thank you so much, Galia. Congratulations. This will be sent to you as well. And it says the exact same thing as it did for the others, except it says Spirit of the Moot. The Spirit of the Moot Award is presented to a student who exemplifies the Honorable Justice Lloyd Dean's hard work, a positive attitude, and initiative. So congratulations once again. And I love that you're wearing your future lawyer sweater. Thank you so much, Justice Dean. You feel free if you want to say any other concluding remarks, Justice Dean, before we go forward.
No, you know what? I haven't had an opportunity to meet everyone who's involved today, including all of the other mooters. But what has struck me about everyone that has come on and that I've seen on camera is what wonderful personalities you all have. I hope you never lose your wonderful personalities. All of you who I've spoken to today that I've seen on camera, take that with you. Don't let this world change that personality you have. You can change the world with that personality. It's just as important as any knowledge that you get and soak in your brain is your character and your personality and how you can spread love and cheer, laughter to everyone. That never gets old. So don't change who you are, please. Just refine who you are. Just refine it. Make it better. Don't change it. All right. Thank you, Natasha. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Justice Dean. And thank you for those words. I love it. Don't change who you are, just refine it. Thank you. Always leaving insight and wisdom in the most eloquent ways. Thank you, Justice Dean.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, the Moot Committee, throughout this entire Moot, we saw and heard such amazing feedback from so many of you, and we thought it only right to institute some honorary awards. Now, these don't come with trophies. However, they will come with certificates, and those will also be mailed to you. And so there were 2 awards given to multiple people that we felt was necessary. The first set of honorary awards are for honorary top oralists. As Justice Lloyd Dean announced, each preliminary round judge, as well as final round judge, provided individual score sheets, which were then tallied up and totaled up by members of the committee. And even if an individual did not go to the final round as a team, there were still some really high scoring preliminary round mooters. And so we definitely wanted to be able to recognize that and affirm that for you all. And that's kind of the basis for these awards. The first honorary top oralist award goes to James Pinherio. Congratulations. The second honorary top oralist award goes to Banafshe Shamdani, and I'm so sorry for butchering your name, I apologize. Congratulations. And the third honorary top oralist award goes to Emily Rose. Congratulations. These next awards, there are 2, technically 3. So the next awards are for those who demonstrated unprecedented courage and bravery throughout this entire moot. For those of you who sort of know anything about moots, and this wasn't noted earlier, you guys are paired together. And so usually one person took one issue. However, in our moot, due to some unforeseen and unfortunate circumstances, there were 2 teams that unfortunately one of their partners could no longer moot with them. And it was up to these individual mooters to decide whether or not they wanted to withdraw from the competition or go forward with it. And if they did go forward, whether they wanted to go ahead and take on arguing 2 issues, or if they wanted to have a stand-in reader support them instead, and they would just stick with their own arguing 1 issue. 2 people had the opportunity to and decided to go ahead and argue both issues, speaking during a moot for 30 minutes. That's literally unprecedented in the Lloyd Dean Moot time. And so we definitely wanted to recognize your courage. So the Courage of the Moot Award goes to Vevangapi and Awal. Congratulations to both of you. And again, you both did phenomenal. As mentioned before, you will receive certificates in the mail to this effect. And we hope that you guys really enjoyed your experience and that you'll join us again next year. I'll now sort of lead the floor over to Nicole.
Thank you, Natasha. And finally, thank you everybody as well. And now, last but not least, we have come to an end, but we're not done yet. So would you please put your hands together, even if it's behind the screens, for our other co-chair, Mr. Brian Provo.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like this was a long day, but really it wasn't. I kind of wish this never ended, because this is one of the greatest things that I have done personally, and I'm sure everyone in the Moot committee can say that we've done since we've been at Windsor Law. This is amazing, and seeing your expressions and seeing everyone smile and happy, this is really what we did it for. This moment right here was just for you guys. So I want everyone to take a second and just pat yourselves on the back. You made it this far, you made it all the way through, and this has been a long day, and we finally got to the end of it. Yeah, so I'd also like to thank all of our incredible sponsors, Macmillan, Castles, Aaron, and Burlesque for making this event possible. Also, the University of Windsor for giving us this platform to challenge and encourage undergraduate students to pursue careers in law. I'd also like to thank the honorable justices who judged all of our contestants, and in particular, the Honorable Justice Lloyd Dean for inspiring countless students to break barriers, work hard, and invite new challenges in the face of adversity and in the name of progress. And lastly, I would also like to thank the Moot Committee and all of our volunteers who stayed up countless nights working and sitting through more Zoom meetings than a graduate student should ever have to during an online pandemic year. Thank you. And for all of our Mooters, once again, I'd like to leave you with a final thought. No matter your background, university major, or even experience with the law, give yourself a pat on the back once again for making it this far and having the courage and curiosity to compete in a competition such as this. Because I believe whether online or in person, stage fright is a real thing and fear of failure is even realer. So just remember that if you can make it through this competition with real judges and real lawyers questioning you on the spot, then I'm sure that you'll make it through anything law school has to throw at you, or really anything in life for that matter. And I'd also like to feel free to, if you want to, use us as references, please. This Lloyd Dean Moot this is yours. Take it, put it on your resume. Both myself and Natasha will vouch for your brilliance, definitely. And thank you again, everyone, for sticking around to the end. Our final event of the evening will be Mix and Mingle. It's an optional event where Mooters can connect and meet with us and ask us any questions or any feedback, exchange social medias, whatever the case is. So if you're interested, just stick around. So we'll be around for probably an additional 10 minutes. And that's about it. Otherwise, we thank you for attending the 3rd annual Lloyd Dean Moot competition. Take care and have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
And again, if you would like to stay back for the optional Mix and Mingle, feel free. I think we can stop the recording now. Yeah, Brian? Nikki, I think